So, in this video, we're going to have a look at the backstories of all the convict criminals from Hell's Paradise. And without wasting any time, let's start this video with my favorite criminal, Tamiya Gantetsusai. At a young age, Tetsunosuke was trained in the art of swordsmanship. After being defeated by his master again and again, Tetsunosuke asked him how he was able to beat him despite his old age. In response, his master explains to Tetsunosuke that he is becoming greedy by wanting to become stronger and explains that he must learn to throw away his strength in order to see everything. Despite this lesson, Tetsunosuke was unable to understand what his master was telling him. So, as he grew up, Tetsunosuke spent his life searching for strong opponents to fight and soon renamed himself to Tamiya Gantetsusai. Eventually, he grew bored of fighting people and sought how to fight monsters just in order to challenge himself. At some point, he came across his first monster, which was the keel of a ship, and he managed to pull off the feat of cutting it down. As a result, he earned the alias of Blade Dragon. Gantetsusai at some point in time participated in an unknown war and learned from his experience on the battlefield. At some point in time, Gantetsusai was invited by a daimyo to come and work for him. Right after they got acquainted, the daimyo had doubted the fact that he could actually slay a dragon based on his epithet. After hearing his statement, Gantetsusai becomes furious and lashed out by cutting the daimyo's gate in half, which resulted in him being kicked out and being sentenced to death. Before being sentenced to death, Gantetsusai was given a chance to be pardoned of his crime if he were to acquire the elixir of life for the shogun on an island. Then we have Aza Chobe, who is a convict criminal as well as a crazy guy. Aza Chobe and his younger brother Toma were born as sons to a retainer under the service of Asano Takunori, who was the daimyo of Ako domain. However, after Asano Takunori attacked the court official Kira Yoshinaka at Edo Castle, he was sentenced to commit seppuku. As a result, their father and the rest of the retainers had their status removed and were left as ronin, leaving their family in poverty. Later, their father was executed for being a part of the Ako incident, and their mother eventually died of an illness, leaving the two siblings alone to defend for themselves. They were eventually taken by bandits who planned on selling them, but later they came to live amongst them after Chobe managed to become their leader. Sometime during their years as bandits, Chobe and Toma were cornered and were about to be arrested. Chobe tells Toma to escape and tells him to rescue him from prison. After being arrested and interrogated for a month, Toma finally comes to free Chobe after infiltrating the Yamada clan and rising to their ranks. He then presents him the mission given by the shogun to find the elixir of life, which Chobe found very interesting, and they both decide to go to the island. Moving on, we have Gabimaru the Hollow. After the birth of their newborn in Iwagakure, a married couple pondered as to what they should name their child, since their son would have no other choice but to grow up to become a shinobi in his future. The mother and father knew that, like the names of the other people living in Iwagakure, his name would have to serve him no purpose in his life. After looking up at the full moon they were under, the mother decided upon the name Tsuki for their baby, believing that the one-letter name was fitting since it was ominous and would offer him no love as he grew up. Having desired to live a normal life outside the village's principles, the married couple had planned to leave Iwagakure with their baby. However, their plan was discovered by the chief and they were executed for their actions, which was done right before Tsuki's eyes. The chief then took it upon himself to raise Tsuki by putting him through gruesome shinobi training at a young age to become the next successor of the feared codename Gabimaru the Hollow. Through the training, Tsuki was molded into an emotionless child that cared very little for his own life or for the lives of others. At some point in time, he was approached by a child named Shija who was ordered by the Iwagakure chief to confront him in a trial match. But he threatened to take her life for merely being in his presence, causing the child to run away in fear. Though this was how their first impression went, Tsuki was willing to help train Shija during their time growing up together. After surviving the training, showing great promise in his skills, and was believed to be responsible for the multiple deaths of other candidates over time, Tsuki was chosen by the Iwa chief to become the next title holder of Gabimaru, and he participated in the rite of succession ceremony, where he had to fight to the death with the Gabimaru of his time in order to fully earn his name. Having successfully done so, the young man went on to become known as Gabimaru. Once the ceremony was over, Gabimaru found Shija and saw her standing among the dead bodies of Iwa shinobi. After Shija explains to him that they killed these shinobi because they were envious of him, Gabimaru realized that Shija was the one killing the past candidates that had the chief believing it was his doing. Shija admits to this and explains to Gabimaru that they have been supporting him all this time, so that he can take the title of Gabimaru. With his role as Gabimaru the Hollow, Gabimaru spent his years assassinating his targets ruthlessly and became feared by many. Having proven his worth, the Iwagakure chief rewarded Gabimaru with his daughter Yui and had hoped that he could produce more offspring for the village. When they first met, Gabimaru had felt that he did not open up to her as much and wanted to try again the next time they were alone. Gabimaru admitted to her that he did not feel that he deserved to live a normal life after being burdened with the lives he had taken, but was told by Yui that, despite his past sins, he was qualified to have normalcy in his life like other people, and that he should at least have one person to accept him for who he is. As the two started living together as a married couple, Gabimaru fell in love with Yui, as she was the only person in his life that did not view or fear him as a monster. At some point, Gabimaru came to the village chief to ask for permission to release him from his status as a shinobi and live a normal life with his married wife. Before he was given an answer, the village chief tasked Gabimaru with one final mission to complete. However, upon taking the mission, Gabimaru is betrayed by Iwagakure, having been marked as a traitor for giving in to his emotional weakness. And as a result, he was arrested by the authorities, who sentenced him to death for his past crimes. Having convinced himself that living a normal life would be impossible, Gabimaru loses the will to live and chooses to forget about his pleasant life with his beloved wife. And it was right after this that he met Sagiri, who presented him an offer that could free him from his past crimes. After him, we have Nurugai. Nurugai was raised with the Sanka mountain people in a village where she lived with her grandfather. Nurugai and her grandfather were in a friendly relationship where she would learn of her grandfather's wisdom. However, her village were considered rebels against the current shogunate, as they were refusing to submit to Tokugawa. Because of this, samurai were sent to locate the hillside tribes they defined as emishis. One day, Nurugai crossed paths with a party of lost men. The lost men needed help, and Nurugai decided to help them by bringing them into the security of her village. But soon, Nurugai recognized her mistake when she realized that these men were samurai under the order of Tokugawa, who began a mass killing of her village that would leave her as the sole survivor. The samurai later imprisoned Nurugai in order to reveal the location of other Sanka settlements and promised to execute her once they had gotten what they needed. During her captivity, Nurugai met Yamada Asaemon Tenzo, who invited her to partake in the search for the elixir of life to avoid execution, because he had realized that Nurugai was innocent and didn't deserve to die. Moving on from her, we have Yuzuriha. Yuzuriha grew up living in a shinobi village with her little sister, Saya, who was suffering from an incurable disease. After Saya had died from her illness, Yuzuriha swore to live her life for the both of them and started her career as a kunoichi. Some time ago, Yuzuriha raided a castle and defeated the retainers defending it. Then, at some point, Yuzuriha was caught and sentenced to death, but she was given a chance by Yamada Asaemon Senta to be pardoned for her crimes if she were to accept a mission directly from the shogun that required her to embark on a journey to a mysterious island that is said to hold the elixir of life and acquire it for the shogun. After her, we have Akaginu. At some point, Akaginu became a criminal who had a reputation for killing and cannibalizing upon the men she lured in. Eventually, she was arrested by the authorities and was given the death penalty. However, Akaginu was offered by Yamada Asaemon Shion a chance to be pardoned from her crimes if she were to complete a mission that required her to venture to an island that is said to possess the elixir of life and return back with it for the shogun to consume. Having favored this option, Akaginu agreed to participate. Next, we have Keiuin the Quarreler, or the Hunter of Hundreds, was also sent to the island. While undergoing training as a Sohei, Keiuin developed an obsession for weapons and armor and decided upon himself to taking his training to the next level by slaughtering martial artists, including well-known master swordsmen, and building up a collection of weapons that he stole from them, which led to him being branded as a criminal. He was eventually arrested by the authorities and was given the death penalty. However, Keiuin was offered by Yamada Asaemon Kisho a chance to be pardoned for his crimes if he were to complete a mission that required him to venture to an island that is said to possess the elixir of life and return back with it for the shogun to consume. Having favored this option, Keiuin also agreed to participate. Rokurota was also a criminal sent to the island and was accompanied by Aizen. Rokurota was born as a large infant in a village with his mother and father. While growing up, he spent his time eating and playing with rocks. Some time ago, he killed his parents along with his entire village and became known as the Giant of Bizen. After getting arrested and being sentenced to death, he accepted an offer to be pardoned for his crimes if he were to find the elixir of life for the shogun. After him, there is Moro Makia. At some point, Makia developed an ambition to overthrow the shogun, and he went about it by forming a cult that was based off multiple religions. Eventually, he was arrested by the authorities and was given the death penalty. However, Makia was offered by Yamada Asaemon Genji a chance to be pardoned for his crimes if he were to complete a mission that required him to venture to an island that is said to possess the elixir of life and return back with it for the shogun to consume. Having favored this option, Makia also agreed to participate. After him, we have the last criminal, and he is the Killing Buddha Harubo. Harubo had the unique ability to stretch or contort his arms or legs to restrain and constrict his opponents due to how his body is constructed. And by using this ability, he committed various crimes such as mass murder, but he was eventually captured and sentenced to death. Before being sentenced to death for his horrendous crimes, Harubo was given a chance to be pardoned by Yamada Asaemon Jikka if he were to complete a mission that required him to venture to an island that is said to possess the elixir of life and return back with it for the shogun to consume. Having favored this option, Harubo agreed to participate. So that's all for this video, and if you guys enjoyed it, then make sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.